Your arteries are slowly turning into bone. That is not a metaphor. The calcium building up inside arterial walls is the same type of calcium found in your skeleton, hydroxyapatite, the compound that makes up 70% of your bone structure. I'm Dr. Berg, turning keto and health science into simple habits that transform lives. And since heart disease is the #1 killer worldwide, I think you deserve to understand the nutritional mechanism behind this and exactly what you can do about it. First, the warning signs of a heart attack that most people don't know. Chest pain that comes on during exercise, exertion, or emotional stress and goes away when you rest. That pattern is a significant warning sign. Referred pain to the left shoulder, arm, jaw, upper back, or left side of the head. The heart sits slightly left, and it refers pain to those areas. A burning sensation in the chest that has nothing to do with acid reflux. Shortness of breath climbing stairs or exercising. And then the most terrifying one, no symptoms at all. You simply collapse. This is why understanding what's happening inside your arteries before a crisis occurs matters so much. The calcium in your arteries is not passive. It's not just sitting there because you got older. It's an active biological process, and it happens under specific conditions that we can actually address. The vascular system is the second most calcified tissue in the body after bone. And the majority of people over 60 have some degree of calcium accumulation in their arteries. That should not be there. Full stop. The best way to know where you stand, a test called the CAC score, coronary artery calcification score. I had it done myself. A score of 0 means no calcium in the arteries and puts you at extremely low risk of heart attack and all-cause mortality. This test is one of the best predictors of whether you will have a heart attack, and it's a powerful predictor of overall mortality because calcification of soft tissue is a sign that something is seriously wrong at a systemic level. Now, here's what's happening biologically that almost nobody explains. Inside the inner lining of your arteries, the endothelium, there are stem cells, and these stem cells are osteogenic. That means they are capable of producing bone. A stem cell is an undifferentiated cell, a blank slate that can become whatever the body directs it to become. Under certain conditions, those stem cells inside your arteries receive the wrong signal and begin differentiating into bone-producing cells. Your artery wall literally starts generating bone tissue from the inside. This is a differentiation problem. The stem cell is receiving incorrect instructions about what to become. And this is exactly where vitamin K2 enters the picture. Vitamin K2 is a recently recognized vitamin, meaning it has always existed in food, but we only recently understood its function, and its function is profound. K2 activates a protein called matrix GLA protein, which directly inhibits vascular mineralization. It stops the calcification process in the arteries. Without sufficient K2, matrix GLA protein remains inactive. The calcium deposits continue building, the arteries continue hardening. With sufficient K2, the protein activates, the stem cells receive the correct differentiation signal, and calcium is directed away from soft tissue and back into the bones where it belongs. There are now over 3,500 research papers on vitamin K2. This is not fringe science. This is documented, peer-reviewed biology. And I believe the majority of the population is subclinically deficient in it. Here is why. K2 is made by bacteria, not plants. Vitamin K1 comes from leafy greens. K2 comes from microbial activity. Your gut bacteria can convert K1 to K2, but only if your microbiome is healthy. Gut damage, dysbiosis, inflammatory bowel conditions all reduce that conversion. K2 is fat-soluble, meaning it requires bile for absorption. Bile is produced by the liver. If you have a fatty liver and if you have belly fat, you almost certainly have some degree of fatty liver. Your bile production is compromised, and your K2 absorption drops accordingly. No gallbladder, congested gallbladder, gallbladder problems, bile deficiency of any kind all reduce K2 absorption. Not eating fermented foods. This is a major contributor to K2 deficiency that almost nobody discusses. The foods richest in K2, natto, which is fermented soybeans, extremely popular in Japan. Sauerkraut, hard cheeses, especially raw milk European cheeses. Grass-fed raw butter. Kefir from grass-fed animals. Egg yolks. Grass-fed beef liver. Fatty sausage. Notice what all of these have in common. They are fermented or fatty animal foods. And now notice what mainstream cardiovascular medicine recommends to protect your heart. A low-fat diet. Fruits, vegetables, and grains, at least half whole grain, half refined, with added sugars permitted. The dietary advice for heart disease eliminates the exact foods that contain the vitamin required to keep calcium out of your arteries. And statin drugs prescribed to virtually every heart disease patient have been shown in research to inhibit vitamin K2. I'll link the paper below. The treatment removes the protective mechanism from the very people who need it most. Now, supplementation. If you're going to supplement K2, choose the MK7 form, the natural form, not MK4, which is typically synthetic when found in supplements. Always take K2 with vitamin D3. They work as a team. The ratio for every 10,000 IUs of vitamin D3, take 100 micrograms of K2. And here's why that pairing matters beyond just synergy. The primary concern about high-dose vitamin D3 is hypercalcemia, too much calcium in the blood. K2 directly addresses that concern by directing calcium out of the blood in soft tissues and into the bone. They protect against each other's potential excesses while amplifying each other's benefits. Get your CAC score, eliminate the dietary patterns that deprive you of K2. Add fermented foods, grass-fed dairy, egg yolks, and fatty animal products. Supplement with MK7, K2, and D3 together. And understand, the hardening of your arteries is not inevitable. It is an active process driven by specific deficiencies. Fix the deficiency, stop the process. The next video on vitamin D toxicity is linked right here, and it connects directly to everything we just covered. Go watch it now.